This isn't just a story about a basketball team. It's really the story of a franchise that's been searching for who it is for over half a century. It's this constant, winding journey to find a place to truly call home.
How many different identities can one team possibly have? Well, for the team we're talking about today, the answer is 4 names, 3 different cities, and just countless reinventions. Their history is basically a masterclass in how to build and then rebuild a franchise from scratch over and over and over again.
Just look at this timeline. It really lays out the story of a team in perpetual motion. But it's about so much more than just changing cities and logos. This is about a fundamental struggle to find a place to belong, a struggle that has defined this team from its very first season. To really understand why a team would be so restless, we need to go back, way back, to the very beginning. We're going back to a time when the Nets weren't even in the NBA, but in a rival league that was built to challenge it. The team was born in 1967, a charter member of the American Basketball Association, or the ABA. Now, the ABA, it was like the NBA's wild, rebellious cousin, you know? It was this league of high flyers, flashy uniforms, and that famous red, white, and blue ball that just screamed personality. It was the perfect place for a team that was always just a little bit different. And right from the jump, the Nets were a team on the run. They started out in Teaneck, New Jersey, but after just one season, poof, they were gone. They moved to Long Island, became the New York Nets, and just started bouncing between different arenas. They were a team without a home, constantly searching for a place to finally put down some roots.
But right in the middle of all this chaos, a star was born. A star who wouldn't just give the Nets an identity, but who would literally change the game of basketball forever.
And here he is, Julius Erving, better known to the world as Dr. J. And let me tell you, he was more than just a basketball player. He was a phenomenon. His high-flying, acrobatic style of play just captivated everybody and put the Nets, and really the entire ABA, on the map. And with Dr. J leading the way, the Nets weren't just a spectacle. They were champions. They won 2 ABA titles in 3 years, cementing their status as the kings of the league right as it was ending. They were, for a moment, on top of the basketball world. But their time at the top, yeah, it was going to be short-lived. The ABA was about to merge with the NBA, and the Nets would soon learn that the price of admission to the big leagues was way steeper than they could have ever imagined. So in 1976, the entire basketball landscape changed forever. The ABA and NBA merged, bringing the 2 rival leagues together. The Nets were one of just 4 ABA teams chosen to make the jump. Now, that should have been a moment of celebration, right? Instead, it was the beginning of a long and pretty painful chapter in the team's history. Yeah, the NBA didn't exactly roll out the red carpet for the new guys. The Nets got hit with a massive $4.8 million invasion fee, which was demanded by the New York Knicks for the right to play in their territory. It was a crippling blow to a team that was already struggling to make ends meet. The Nets were in a serious bind. They had just won a championship, but they were flat broke. They simply couldn't afford to pay the Knicks ransom. So they had to make an impossible choice: sell their superstar or risk going completely bankrupt. They chose to sell. Dr. J was shipped off to the Philadelphia 76ers, and just like that, the Nets went from champions to the laughingstock of the league. They finished their first season in the NBA with the worst record in professional basketball. It was an absolutely stunning fall from grace, and it would take them decades to recover. It would be more than 20 years, 2 decades, before the franchise would find another player who could lead them back to prominence. A player who, just like Dr. J, would completely redefine what it meant to be a Net. After that Dr. J trade, the team moved back to New Jersey, and they'd spend the next 35 years in relative obscurity. But that all changed in 2001 with the arrival of Jason Kidd. This all-star point guard single-handedly turned the Nets from a perennial loser into a title contender. He led them to 2 straight NBA finals, but they could never quite get over the hump. They were the best team in the East, but just no match for the Western Conference powerhouses at the time. So after 35 years out in the suburbs, the Nets were ready for a change, a big one. They were moving back to the city, but this time they were headed to a borough with a really rich basketball history and a hunger for a team to finally call its own. In 2012, the Nets arrived in Brooklyn, and it was a huge deal. They were the first major professional sports team to call Brooklyn home since the beloved Dodgers left for Los Angeles way back in 1957.
They were more than just a basketball team. They were a symbol of Brooklyn's big comeback. And the move to Brooklyn was a complete and total reinvention. The team ditched its red, white, and blue suburban look for this sleek, minimalist, black and white identity. It was a bold statement. The Nets were no longer the family-friendly team from New Jersey. They were the cool, hip team from Brooklyn. But a new look and a new home weren't enough, not in a crowded city like New York. To truly forge a new identity, the Nets needed an enemy. They needed a rival. And they found a couple of them pretty quickly. The Nets have two main rivals, and they could not be more different. The rivalry with the Knicks is a battle for the heart and soul of New York City, born from just being so close to each other. But the rivalry with the Celtics? Oh, that one's born of pure, unadulterated animosity. It was forged in the heat of the playoffs, and it still burns hot to this day. You know, former Nets star Kenyon Martin put it best when he was talking about the Celtics rivalry. He just said, "Our fans hate them, their fans hate us." It was that simple and that intense. But despite all the hype, all the high-priced superstars, and the slick rebranding, the Nets really haven't found lasting success in Brooklyn. As you can see from this table, they've had their moments, sure, but they have yet to build a consistent winner. The search for a championship and for a true, stable identity, it just continues. So, the Nets have been searching for a home for over 50 years. They've been the New Jersey Americans, the New York Nets, the New Jersey Nets, and now the Brooklyn Nets. They've had legendary superstars and they've competed for championships, but they've never truly had a place to call their own. Has that finally changed? Or is this just another stop on their long and winding journey?